Welcome to another video. Alright, right here, white sees that if he takes that pawn with the bishop and this bishop recaptures, the queen can come up and say check, and when the king moves, the queen can take that bishop. At least that's what he's thinking. So let's see what happens. I mean, the king doesn't have to move. He can also use this to block, but it would still leave the bishop that's there free for the taking. Okay, so let's see what happens. Bishop takes the pawn. Bishop recaptures bishop. Queen says check. Bishop blocks. At this point, a human would take the bishop and be up a pawn, because in the beginning he traded his bishop for a pawn. The opponent recaptures with the bishop. Queen says check, takes the bishop. So they traded bishops, and white is up a pawn in that deal. But the computer would say for the queen not to recapture at this point. The computer would say, take that pawn and say check. Now this gives the black bishop, the opportunity to escape trouble and go there. Now the computer says for the white rook to take the bishop. Now the king recaptures, and the queen comes out and says check. Now the computer says for the queen to come and block, which seems kind of silly because that's just giving away a queen. Boom. So would a human just come out and do that? Lose the queen like that? That's just giving away the queen. What would a human do? A human might move the king out of the way. Let's say he moves there. Now from here, a human might say, there's a free rook, let me go take it. The computer doesn't say to take the rook. It says to say check with the queen, whereby a human would just go for the free piece. The computer is trying to checkmate. Now at this point, where can the king go? So let's say he goes there. What does the computer say white should do? Bring the queen even closer. Even though a human would be thinking, hey, I've got this rook here. He's ready to come out. I got this bishop ready to come out. Now from there, where does the king go? He goes back there. Then white brings the rook out. And now the only thing black can do, well, that's one of the things black can do, but then you just lost a bishop. Eventually the queen's got to come out. There's the queen. And at this point, it's checkmate. But let's go back. Let's go back to this point. At this point, the computer says to do this. You just take, I don't know if a human would do that. Although it does leave black with two rooks and a bishop, and white with a queen, a rook, and a bishop. Okay, but let's say that black doesn't do that, and the king goes somewhere. Let's say instead of bringing the queen out, black moves here. It gives white the free rook. Is there another place the black king could have gone? Let's look. He can go here, but then that invites big trouble. And if he goes here, you go here, and that's checkmate. So the black king can't go there. He can't go here or here because of the bishop. He can't go here, here, or here because of the queen. He can't go here because of the queen. Let's say he goes here. That still gives white the chance to take that free rook. But even then, the computer says not to take the free rook, but to put the queen right here. King goes here. Now white brings in reinforcements. Bishop blocks. Rook takes. Queen has to block. Queen takes. King goes here. And look at that. Checkmate again. Let's go back to the very beginning. Fascinating to see from here where white had a plan to be up a pawn by saying check, and either whether the king moves, let's say the king moved here, white could still take and be up a pawn. Okay, so from this initial tactic, white scheming to be up a pawn by saying check, black blocks. Right here, a normal person might just take the free bishop and be up a pawn and be happy that he's up a pawn. But a higher level player or the computer would say, no, wait a minute. Let's get the king in check. And then from there, the bishop can come down and block. So we've seen what happens in that scenario. Let's say he goes there. Now white can bring in the rook. If he blocks, from there it's over. Okay, let's go back. Let's say he doesn't go there. Let's say the king goes there. Now if the king goes there, notice that the best move for white is not to immediately bring down the rook. He's got to get his queen a little closer in position. Queen says check, king moves up to that position, and fortunately for white, because the bishop is protecting that square, the white queen can come over and say check. So now the queen is a lot closer. So the king has to go back. Now white brings in the big guns, and it's just now a matter of time. And black's going to come down with the bishop. There's a free bishop. Queen has to come out, and boom, checkmate. Why is bringing out the rook right now a little too premature? Well, let's look and see. Rook comes over, says check. The computer says the best move for black is to bring the queen to block. Now the computer says the best move for white is to take the queen. And now the computer says the best move for black is to recapture the rook. But see, look at what you've got. Black has two rooks and a bishop. White only has a queen and a bishop. That's why you don't want to bring the rook out for the check too soon. Now let's just show you what the computer, with perfect play, look and see what white can still do. Check with the bishop. And these are all best moves for black and white. White puts the king in check. King moves. Queen puts the king in check. King moves. Again, queen puts the king in check. King moves. Bishop takes pawn. This is the best move for black to go here. White queen puts the king in check again. Now, this is a big deal. White queen can take the rook. Okay, now it's a lot better for white. Computer says the best move for black is to move up. Now the queen can take the bishop. Okay, well, that's checkmate. Okay, but to see all these things, you know, the computer can see all these things, but can a human see all these things? And the point is, if you notice when the computer plays, it tries to get the queen closer to the king before it brings the rook out. And that's why it goes for the check. Forces the king to come up. And the queen gets even closer because of this bishop right here protecting the queen. The queen gets even closer. King has to move. And then white brings out the rook. And from there, it's just big trouble for black. So it is fascinating to go over your games with the computer to see that the computer is not always in a big hurry just to recapture and be up a piece. Now we know the computer tells black to come out and just sacrifice the queen like this. But what if a human was playing? He might not think to do that. He might think, okay, I don't want to just give away my queen. Let me move my king. So he moves his king here. And then a human might think, okay, there's a free rook, and I don't even have to lose a piece to get it. But the computers don't think that way. So the goal is to, I suppose, learn from the computer and see that there's an even higher level of thinking and try to employ that into your games. All right, well, thank you for watching. Have a good evening.